Hello and welcome to yet another edition of THR. Is it yet another edition of we started season 3?
Njugush, it's season 3.
I think
it's
I
season
switched myself to that mode.
Yeah,
maybe because we used to do it at night. Now we've done it during the day.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
If you look at it, it's weird. We're doing it in the morning.
Yeah.
Guys, I know most guys. I know like.
I've never seen Tracy this quiet.
This quiet in the morning. Yeah, I know our coach. I know Coach Senge is used to waking up early, based on his work experience, of course, as a coach and is it a uniformed man or yeah. So it's good to be back. Service to the nation.
And we are glad that we are back with season 3. Thank you so much for asking when we are coming back. Now we are back.
And sorry we are late. Njugush alishindwa kuconfigure microphone, so sorry we are late. Barry and I are camera guys. He's the audio guy, so. Yeah.
But nonetheless, we are here and bigger things.
Yep.
To start with, we are in a new location. Simon is not in his own house. We are all together, as you can see. And this is all courtesy of HockeyKE Guest House, who are our sponsors. They are hosting us here and they have a fabulous place. If you are looking for a staycation, feel free to come here and spend your time here together with your family if you have one. They are not just in Nairobi, they are in Mombasa. There's HockeyKE Guest House in Mombasa. I'm trying to remember that place, but it's after the port. I've forgotten, I'll remember. And then there's one in Salama, and there's one in Homa Bay. Of course, we'll give you all this information even as we go on throughout the week. But today we have two amazing guests with us, and I'll let Simon do the honors.
If you are new to hockey, then you don't know these two. They are the biggest names in Kenyan Field Hockey, even East Africa and across Africa. Ladies first. We'll start with the lady. Yeah. How are you? Introduce yourself to our good fans, our good guests.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
My name is Tracy Karanja. I'm a hockey player.
Okay. Beyond hockey? Anything you do beyond hockey, other than hockey?
Yes, of course. At the moment, I am more into coaching, private coaching for children.
Okay.
And teenagers.
Okay, coach, have the mic. Let us know who you are.
Wow. Nice to be back. Nice to have a hockey conversation post the resumption, is it? Yeah, of hockey activities. I hope we will start the league soon. My name is Meshack Senge. I am an addict of hockey. This is the oxygen that I breathe. I have been a player. I have played for close to 21 years for Kenya. I've coached Kenya for 12 years as the national men's head coach. I have coached Strathmore University men and women for done about the same. I am an FIH high performance coach. And now I'm starting up a hockey academy on Kangundo Road at Maisa. Actually, we're having a session today at 3 p.m. That is myself. Away from hockey, I am a member of the discipline force. I put on the uniform, service to the nation, and yes, I'm happy to be here.
There's a newfound love, if I may call it, that you've now become. I must admit. I don't know if you've been doing this for a long time, but just to tell our viewers, for those who watched the test matches that were done here in Kenya, sometime in March? Yes, there was a voice you were hearing, and I'm sure you can familiarize yourself with it. Tell us more about it. How did you end up doing this, man?
I said hockey is the oxygen that I breathe. So I was not on the bench for that test series, FIH test series, but I needed to be relevant to the game and to give something, to be of use to the game that we love. So I was told about the games going live, being streamed live, and I was asked if I could do a commentary. I'd never done a commentary on hockey before, but it was a new challenge. I mean, you try new things. I wasn't a coach before, so I was just a player. But then I messed up my knee. And when I messed up my knee, I thought of ways to still be relevant to the game. Then I ended up in coaching. And I coach coaches as well. So I've coached so many other coaches. And maybe it was that time to step to the next realm. And how else would I bring a feel of the game to the people who don't know the game, or to the people who already know the game but need to have the technical, tactical aspect of it brought to their face, to the screen. And I thought it was a nice challenge. Actually, it was a challenge for me that I thought I should pick, and I'm very interested in it. I don't know where it will take me, but I'd love to do that again and again.
Samo is scared.
The opportunity of feeling it
I'm just fascinated because you look at it. Senge has been a player. He's now a coach. Bado. He coaches the coaches, or he trains the coaches. Now he has an academy, and now he's a commentator. What are we doing?
With our lives.
With our lives.
we have to HR. And let me move this side and just talk to Tracy a bit. COVID year was COVID year. We have tried to keep hockey afloat, and there are so many things that have come up in my head. I mean, in this space, Simon and I have done what we have done. You guys have actually, you were among our first guests in this show. But as a player, Tracy, how has the journey been in the past 1 year?
Wow. First 2020. This was a whole different year. And even as a player, it opened up the possibility, or just the understanding of the importance of teamwork, not only on the pitch, but even as you're preparing for matches, even as your friends, you now realize that your teammates are not only cones on the pitch that you're supposed to get to a goal. It is your friends, you're doing life together, and really, hockey takes most part of our lives. Like, other than career, you would wake up, go to work, maybe go to school, maybe, and then afterwards make time for hockey. Make time for hockey in the weekend and all that. So, as a player, I know personally it has affected me, and it's just that I'm not able to see my teammates, I'm not able to play with other people. The friendly fire that you have with other teams, and that spirit of competition, it kills the adrenaline up, and you're always looking forward to the next match, and the next match, the next big tournament, and then always looking forward for your skill to level up. But this moment, you've been taken down to stay at home. If you're training, train alone, and that's a dynamic that most people are not used to. And those who are used to have access to the pitch, maybe the pitch that we have at City Park or other pitches which most people don't have access to directly. So at home, you might find most of the players not having enough space. But we've seen, especially as it started off in March 2020, those challenges online and people trying to do something even in the space of maybe bedsitter, a small space, and just trying to do skills. But the biggest problem would be keeping hope alive. Because you can start so well and try to thinking, oh, this never will be fine. But now, a year down the line, and we are not yet sure at what point we're able to go back to normal, if ever we go back to normal. So it's just keeping hope alive and knowing that you can still stay fit, you can still stay on top of the hockey game, you can still skill up, you can still also increase on that goal, go for training in a good environment. Yeah, so just keeping hope alive as a player, thinking about it, just being able to know that you can still be active. Yeah, now it's more of an individual.
It's true.
More individual, it's more on the individual level and not really relying mostly on the team, which most of the time we find we rely so much on the team. But as we say, my coach, my coach he says you're only as strong as your weakest link. So you now realize that individuals are so important, and growing the individual and making the individual strong is even more important to be able to make the whole team. So in this time that we have, it's more of an opportunity to just get back in and know as an individual what is my strength, what is my weakness, what can I work on, what can I work on my own before we get to the team setup. Yeah.
Good. And I think
Thank you. As Blazers, I must commend you for this. The videos that you guys were doing every day, different players doing different things, that was a really good thing. Senge, to you. You are used to, before we started this show, you were having a conversation of whereby you are supposed, you are meant to shout. And if I can use your words, coach ni kuongea. Here you are, you're in a space whereby you can't talk to people directly unless you join them via probably an online Zoom, which was even a challenge. How was it coaching during the COVID period?
It's what they call the new normal. And I think every bad situation must always have a good side to it, a positive side to it. So COVID was a very bad situation. It still is. But it also brought challenges that made us step out of our comfort zones. For example, coaching remotely and taking responsibility for the setup or the training setup that we have. With my teams, what we did was a program that we could then monitor. So you give a program, the players execute, they take a snapshot, a screenshot of, because it's tracked. And now you can monitor where they are at, the kind of kilometers they're doing, the calories they're burning, if you give a skill set, how they're doing it, and is it the correct way? So you interact virtually, basically. The only challenge therein is that our coaching style is more coach-oriented and not player-oriented. So that the players look up to the coach. Now the pandemic has brought us to the space where it has to be player-oriented. And by the way, that is the next level for coach dynamics, even with the FIH, that it's moving away from coach-based to player-based. So you allow them to make the decision. You give them a platform to make the decisions, then you only supervise the decisions. So in our Kenyan setup, largely the players are not used to that dynamic. And therefore there are those who will be proactive and pick it up, but there are those who will want to hide somewhere and cheat a little bit. And that's a normal with players. Even when the coach is there, they will still, you need to do 100 meters sprint and they'll get to 80 and just taper off. So it's a normal human reaction with our setup, but now we need to understand that that's where we are going to, and we need to embrace it. It's been a challenge for me, having to adapt, but then adapting was the only way out. So then we got in there. We got to a point where we were about to restart the league, Actually, we had the fixtures out, and we were a week from starting the league. And then the third wave checked in.
Yeah.
And now we needed to go back again, stop, and now restart. So it's a bit of a messy situation.
Yeah.
But that is not unique to one team. It's unique to everybody. So we just need to find a way to be smart with it. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay.
And it also messes up the players' psyche.
Yeah.
They've come in, they've started, they've stopped, they've started again. They don't know when next.
Yeah.
This uncertainty that comes with it is a bit distracting to the players' mindset. So hopefully we should start soon and move to where we have probably because I'm sure we'll not play the league when we're still on the virtual platform. We'll have to have face-to-face, and then the league starts. So then we'll have to review and see where we are at. That's the only time we will know exactly where we are at. We can post stats, but until we are able to see, I keep telling people that, for example, when we're doing strength and conditioning, Eliud Kipchoge is easily one of the fittest men in this country called Kenya. But if you took Eliud Kipchoge and put him on a hockey pitch for 5 minutes,
Tracy will be better.
100 times better. So yeah, the strength and conditioning bit is fine. But we need to be game fit as well. And game fit you'll only get in a game setup. So that's the bit that we're still missing. But in terms of being athletically fit, I think we are almost there.
Okay. Tracy, let's talk about the psychosocial bit of it. And you alluded to it a bit. But how was it dealing with the psychological bit of it as a player, and even for your teammates, because you're also a captain?
As a player, it's not very easy, and it's not only as a player. I think it's just as a citizen of the world. Anyone who is in this situation would feel the same effects, regardless whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, or whether you're not even in sports. But now that we are speaking about hockey,
my producer is telling me to put your mic up.
Yes. Is that fine? It actually affects. The best thing about it is most of the players, I will talk about maybe the players in universities and in schools would normally go back home. And there is that support. There is the support of family, there's the support of being with your parents or guardians or relatives. And that's very, very a good thing. It is a good thing for the family. Okay, let me can you hear me now, Barry? So for the psycho support, it's very good to have the family support and even friends. As a team, what we decided to do as Blazers is to have at least weekly Zoom meetings, if not at least once a month. And you're able just to greet each other, talk to each other, not necessarily have an agenda of talking about how you're training, how you're doing this, but just to greet each other and keep each other accountable and know how we are doing. Some of us were affected directly where 1 or 2 members of the family maybe contracted COVID, and you know at the first stages you panic. Yeah, you panic because you're like, so what does this mean? Are you going to die? Literally. And it is more of a mental strength. And it's something that being part of sports, being a sports person, is also a bonus or an added advantage. And I cannot say it's a blanket for everyone because everyone is different. Their mental, where they are mentally and what they do to have that mental strength is different. But it really helps. Just being in sports and having that, knowing that, like in the game, when the pressure is so much, you have to contain it, be calm, relax, and now, think about what you're gonna do next. The same way we take it to life, and you have to, calm down and think about what you're gonna do next, and do what is best. Take the best option. So maybe most of it would be having support from family, also having divine connection, intervention or something, because you now realize that more than ever that there is a need for a superior power that you cannot explain why, because now this COVID is invisible. We cannot see it. You can't know. You can wear 5 masks, and at the end of it, you still contract COVID and all that. And we've seen even presidents fall to it. So at the end of the day, it is God who protects us, and to whoever God that you serve at that moment, now there's a need to know more, and you're like, okay, you're the one who protect. Yeah, you're like, okay, yeah, I've been playing, maybe I've been too much into hockey now. Let me see. You're still there. Okay, you gave me this talent. This is, there's that need to just go back and just realize that there is a higher power that actually holds us together as humanity. Yeah.
Good. Let me come back to Coach Senge and just to wrap this up, and for me, it's in line with the psychosocial bit of it, and talk about a bit about the coaching.
About it. What is it that
you did as a coach, or how involving was it to make sure that these people are fit mentally? Because you mentioned it, that it is where the hockey world is moving. We are moving towards sorting out things upstairs so that in the pitch things are different.
Yeah. And as you answer that, Tracy has said it, that there is a lot of uncertainty, and you look at players, also as a coach, you have to think about the psychology of a player.
Yeah.
Because as even the coach alluded to it and said, if you have that physical contact, or at least one-on-one, face-to-face contact with the players, you can say whether the player is okay or not. But if they are behind a camera, you can't really tell.
Most of them even don't put their videos on.
So as the coach answers that, I just wanted to add and say, sometimes on the pitch you can look at a player running or doing a warm-up and tell that this player has something bothering the player. For example, they have not eaten, they are injured,
or they even don't know how they're going to go back home.
I think that's the reality of our situation. That's a very correct picture we've painted of the situation. You see, with the onset of the pandemic, the support system of the players, talking about the players, the support system took a knock as well, because the guardians, the parents, there are people who lost jobs, there are people who were retrenched, there are people who passed on. And you see, like coming from my setup, where I deal largely with students, they don't have an income of their own, and they depend on the family support. And here you have a parent who's not been employed for 1 year. This player has gone back home to practically almost nothing. And then how do you then try and motivate them and Tracy talked about hope. How do you keep them up on hope that tomorrow will be a better day? So the best way is, like for us, we've got a WhatsApp platform, and we don't do Zooms a lot like Bezos, but we because even on the Zoom platform, it is a resource that takes a bit of financial hit on the little resource that you have remaining. So it's easier for us, it was easier given our background, it was easier to interact more on WhatsApp. Just post something, even if it is not hockey related. But then for my setup, we needed to connect with the game as well. So we take a clip of a game. The first thing we did was to divide my team into segments by positions. So we have a goalkeepers forum, we have a defenders forum, we have a midfielders forum, and a forwards forum. And we take a clip and give it to the keepers to analyze. Then you just have a feedback, have a conversation. It's the way we connect. Now that we have this conversation about this goalkeeping thing, and somebody still feels that they belong, because when we are back to next to normalcy, then the family is the hockey unit. It's more family than even the family at home, because they're the people that you spend a lot of your time with. They're the people who know your deepest hearts and your greatest joys. The things you can't even share with your parents, they share with the group. When they're going through something, they go to persons at this group. So when we have this interaction, and because we don't see each other as much, but probably me and Simon here stay close, he might have confided something in me that you guys don't know, and I think it's a problem, and then I find somebody else who I think can, and then it gets to coach, and then we on the side we find a solution. But in the same space, we keep tabs with the tactical aspect of the game, that we are pressing, these guys were pressing, can we discuss this press? What worked in this press? What worked? What didn't work? And you see where they are at in terms of their thinking. And as you said, where hockey is moving is more towards decision making by the players and not the coach. So then you can see where they are at. You only come in to correct where you think they're not on the same space with you. But then as a family, as a hockey family, that was the only way we could interact. And we've had people, I'm coming from Kisii last week, and my captain lost the dad. And we had our group there with him, even when we are not in the hockey session. And that was very good support. This weekend, actually today, we are having another burial of another alumni of my team who's being buried in Kitale, and a group of my team has gone there. I should have been there, but again, work-related issues, and I couldn't move. But you see, that psycho support system still comes through, because he sees these are people he interacts with, or she interacts with most of the time, and when they're near you, especially in these not very nice moments, then you feel the family thing. And that is what makes a team, by the way. When the team sits with you in your darkest moments, you feel you belong, and you feel appreciated, and you want to give you everything. So yes, that's where we are. There are people who've been struggling even with finances, and people chip in here and there and do something. And that's how we've, in our small little way, we've been able to. I know Kenya Hockey Union did something together with Red Cross in the other wave, and gave food donations to players. I know the government did something. They gave some kind of a financial support to a group of players, and those are still part of the mitigation issues that have come through in the process.
Yeah. Now, so much about the Kenyan League and COVID. So let's move to world news. Let me use this mic. Barry is waving at me. Now, let's go further afield. Recently, or I don't know whether they are still going on. I didn't check the news. SA Namibia Test Series. We had, I think they were done. Yeah, we had SA winning the men's final, and Namibia shocking South Africa in the women's final.
Are we shocked? I mean, yet here in Kenya.
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. I'm sure our commentator, who was in all games, and the captain, who was also playing in the most of those games, will have something to say. And this is a topic I want to discuss, because after those games, we didn't have
any proper sitting.
Yeah, you know, there was a bit of a scandal, so we went hush-hush for some time. But anyway, before we get to Kenya versus Uganda, Tracy, you've played against Namibia in South Africa, right? What do you think of that team? They shocked South Africa 2-0 to win the trophy, their home ground. Do you think it's a team that if you were to meet, you'll do some justice as you did against Uganda?
Against Uganda?
Yeah.
I played with Namibia since first time 2015, and I think I've met them about 2 times.
Yeah.
But yeah, Namibia are a good side.
Barry wants you to use this mic.
Namibia are a good side. Most of the time, most of the players I met in 2015 also were there 2019, and I think hapo katikati between 2015 and 2019 another one. So I would say that yes, that they are a good side. I'm not shocked, because you know, when someone is on the top, everyone is always trying to get there and dethrone them. I can feel what South Africa really being part of Blazers, but I'm not shocked, because you're always striving to get to that top, and facing a team like South Africa always makes you play better and makes you think. And for once, I could say, even I think I watched one of the the indoor, and I could point out maybe the captain, who is very instrumental, and I've seen her through the years, and keeping such a team intact makes them better with time, like wine. So it makes them better, they understand, and they're able to learn their opponents and now be able to counter the play. Most of the time, we would say, I don't want to talk about the Kenyan side, but I feel like even as Kenyans, it's a very, very good challenge, and we've never seen South Africa as unbeatable, and I don't think even in Africa any of the teams will get to a tournament and see South Africa as unbeatable until
Egypt. I think Egypt always say we can do this.
No, as in by the time we get there, we are like, we can be able to beat South Africa, you know. And this is a player's mentality. We are coming there, we are fighting until the last whistle, until the last minute. So it's congrats to Namibia, by the way, congrats. And even us as Kenyans, we are working to get there. We are working to not only get to beat South Africa, is not even where we want to get to. We want to get to the world platforms, to the World Cups, to the Pro Leagues, to the Olympics, right? So it will be, the first step would be to get to the top of Africa and be able to conquer. At the moment, South Africa, Ghana, and the list continues, but we are able to. We are able to, and we are having we have very young people that we are incorporating in the team, in the national team, and what we need, and I always cry, we just need to be able to do this more and more, to be able to face them and know these are actually people like me. It is possible. We are of the same skill level. I think it's same. They might have 1 or 2 people that their experience is much higher, but it's not impossible. Even I look at the young people, and also with the ones who are experienced. And I think with the right guidance, we are able to do it. We are able to everything, but everything has to really align. But even without that, we know that people have come out even from situations to shock people, right?
Yeah.
So why not? Kenya, here we come. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Because I can see Senge is eager to say something. What is it that if the current team, current squad of the national team is put against
South Africa,
Yeah.
or Namibia.
now not Namibia, the new groups, do you think you beat them?
At the moment.
Yes.
I love being positive, you know.
But let's talk things as they are.
The reality.
Yeah.
Reality. With the current crop of players,
Yeah.
and this being the ones who've represented Kenya in the last assignment,
Yes,
the
yes.
test series,
Yeah.
I think we have a bit to do. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially to raise the confidence
Okay.
of the team as a whole.
Okay.
Not at raise confidence yeah, someone or someone. No, as a team as a whole, knowing that if I play this ball on this side, it will transit and it will go the way it's supposed to go according to the system, and to learn all those things. I think, yeah, we will need a bit of like time. But if you give us even a few months, we might. I'm just being positive. I'm just being positive. It is not impossible, definitely. But we need to really work extra hard, mentally, extra hard physically, extra hard to be able to grasp the systems and all these aspects of the game, and also to sharpen on our what are they called? No, there's like short corners, long, yes, set plays. Sharpen on those very much, because most of the time, that is the one that the X factor, as coach was saying, that is the one thing that puts people, like, draws the line. We might be same skill level, everything, we are at par with each other as teams. We are keeping our energy up, we are very fit, and then one short corner, we are down. And then another short corner, we're like, how? You know, how? As in just the short corners. And then you tell yourself, if you were able to just defend or just score that short corner or take advantage of the set plays, the long corners, quick fouls, things like that, you're like, these are the small things that if we were able to, then we would be at par now, and then now look for that X factor to now. Yeah, so there's some work to be done, especially on the ladies' side. I think there's some work to be done. There's some more just training, more getting the team to work as a machine. Well, like to be able to synchronize, yeah, as we are playing the set plays with the system, to get to know. You know, at times, what I see in the national team is, and I wish that we would do this on the club level and not wait to do it on the national level, is to get these basics done well in the club level. And basics is, for me, I don't think basic is just stopping and hitting or passing and stopping. It would be getting to know things about systems, getting to know about defensive stance, offensive stance, getting to know about pressing, and all these things, trapping, you know, getting to know where you want to get the ball and where you want to recover it, and all these things. And then on the national level, we are coming to just polish, yeah. just polishing, yeah? And what we find most of the time is that on the national level, the coach will come and realize that a few people understand, others maybe have no clue. So it is hard to just continue and assume that these ones will catch up. No, you have to now go back and start all over again. And it's not so bad, but we are not able now to polish. We are not able to get to know exactly where our strength is. Do we have a drag flicker? And I'm speaking for the ladies. Do we have that you know, do we have that extra thing that we can do, and we know in our back pocket that when push comes to shove, we're able to bring out this card and win the game? Or what is that one thing? Or we have maybe that one person who is able to carry the team. But how are you able to know that if when we are trying to get that going on in the team, we are still trying to get to know how to stop? And I am not against players to know that. It's very important. I'm just saying on the club level, we are able to focus more on that, not just going and hitting, stopping, and then play a game for 2 hours. And I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to any coach, anything like that. I'm just trying that for the country as a whole, to get the best out of the players, we have to start from the grassroots. Yeah.
Let me move this, and I promise this is the last time I'll ask Simon this question. I have to let Simon do his work.
You've done all this, my friend.
This is a conversation we've had before, and I remember very well the day we had Kagochi.
The day we had Kagochi, the day we had the Ghanaian guy, was it Ghanaian? Eddie. Yes, we had Eddie and yourself on the show. It is exactly what she is talking about. Do you think, and a good example, Simon, allow me to go into this. Let's talk about Kenya men versus Uganda.
Good.
That's a classic example of the X factor that I would want us to talk about.
Tracy is very much spot on with analysis of the situation. If I take us a little back to where we were and where we are at right now. Back in the day, there used to be hockey in primary schools. And therefore, if at that point, we used to groom talent from a very young age. Now, that's different. Now people start playing hockey in high school. And they play hockey probably because they want to go out on a tour with school. But the bug hits them when they're in third form and getting into fourth form. And they come to play proper hockey when they get to college or post-secondary education. But the mindset is about school hockey, which is totally different from club hockey. In school, you'll hit the ball and whoever can stop it can win the game. There are no systems, there are no structures. These things she talks about, pressing, systems of play, are non-existent in schools. They come to club and they find totally to certain clubs, not all clubs. You know, you want to play this formation, we want to outlet this way, we want to recover in this way. There's stuff about counter control, which is totally new. So by the time they get the hang of it, they're in third year in university or fourth year. Shortly they graduate, and certain players or certain setups, university setups, end up not having a proper team in the league that allows these players to continue playing, and they drop off. So now the national team coming to Kenya versus Uganda depends on these players who are still not very okay. in comparison to the yesteryears, there used to be institutional clubs that were actually providing employment and facilitation for teams. The Army was one of them, there was Braris, there was police and Barclays, and even individual companies had people working for them because they are playing hockey. A proprietor, case in point, Butali. Butali is not an institution that would employ you to play hockey, but they facilitate in a big way hockey players. And back in the day, we used to have a lot of those kinds of companies or people supporting hockey in that way. Then that disappeared. So now the only institutional club we have is police. The only supporting, we used to have Telcom, which is no longer there. I don't know how Blazers are moving on post Telcom, but the only other place that gets proper financial support is Butali. So then what happens to these players who want to play but they don't have the resource to come for training? That's where the motivation factor comes in. That back in the day you would play and you know, I'll get a job with Brody's, I'll get a job with, if I play well, I might be employed by Barclays. If I play well, I might get employed with the Army. If I play well, I want to impress those guys. Now it's come to a point where if I play well, I'll go to Strathmore or I'll go to USIU because they offer scholarship. That's the offer. Over and above scholarships, there is not very much that is on offer. But you see, then how do we transit from our basics, which is talked about, from where we are to where we need to be? And it is true, having been coach of the national team for the longest time, we spend a lot of time training on technicals, which is the stopping, the receiving, the hitting, a lot of time. Whereas we're supposed to be training on the technical, how the 1% that makes a difference between this team and the other team. That is not possible because our coaching structure has been wrong all along. I will coach because I played hockey. So I think I have some experience and I think I can transmit, which is a good thing. Is it structured is the other thing. Am I teaching the right things? Was the knowledge that I have sufficient to propel this player to the next level? And that is where coaches' education come in. We've done a bit from our point to give coaches education. Simon is one of them here. But you see now, what is the next level? And we're working very hard around the clock right now to develop. Actually, we've developed a curriculum, we've done a write-up, we've done a coaching manual for long-term athlete development program and long-term hockey development program. We submitted it, the final draft, last week to the convener coaching and development committee, and we hope that the executive Kenya Hockey Union will approve it. This program talks about development stages in hockey from as low as under 6. I don't know if we will have under 6s, but the countries that have made those big steps have started from that level, under 6s going forward. We might not get under 6, but we have a program for under 6. If we get, fine. If we don't get, we'll start at under 10s. So we have under 10s, under 14s, under 17s, under 21s, over 21s, and then hockey for life, the 7 stages. Each with a curriculum. What the needs of an under 10 is totally different from the needs of an under 21. So they have a curriculum. And we've shortlisted, going by the list of the provided by, again, the secretary at the union, of coaches by regions who have done these, they were certified as coaches. And then we've pulled them by region. So we'll have 7 centers of excellence. We have a center in Nairobi, we have a center in Nakuru, we have a center in Kisumu, we have a center in Kakamega, we have a center in Kitale Bungoma, we have a center in Kerugoya, and we have a center in Mombasa. All these with coaches. And all this will get through the curriculum. But before we get there, coming to now having every player on sync, we need to have a conversation with Kenyan coaches or Kenyan technical tactical persons. We call it the National Coaches Conference. And we've slated it we've asked to be given the 15th of the new month, 15th, 16th, that weekend, so that we can have a conversation. It's very easy for me to draft what I think would be our national philosophy. But then it will be my idea. What are the chances that the coaches in the country would buy the idea? If we have a conversation that is all inclusive with the coaches, they'll buy into it, and then they can promote it and use it, implement it in the clubs. That we want to understand what are our strengths as players, as Kenyan hockey players, in the eyes of the coaches. What are our weaknesses? Which system works for us? So are we going to go on a deep block and go on a counter attack? Are we going to go on a full press? Are we going to work with what formation? A 4-3-3, 4-4-2? Which is our strength and what is the option? And then if we are able to agree, then all clubs will have to implement the same, so that when you come from your club to the national team, there is no qualms about systems, because it's the same thing you're doing at club anyway. And that's what South Africa are doing, that's what Egypt is doing, that's what Ghana is doing. That the systems are more or less the same. The players coming through don't have a problem with the system. When you understand the system, you understand the player roles. I'm coming into the national team as a sweeper. I know that as a sweeper, this is the expectation, because I do it at the club anyway. And it becomes easier on the selectors because they want Tracy as a center forward. And Tracy does the correct movements that the manual says. So it's very easy to pick and choose. Over and above that, the skill level and the basic skill level will be okay, because there's a program running now used to run now pre-COVID at City Park for the development every Saturday. I've been part of that program. There are kids there who are under 10s who can play, who have got a clearer idea of concepts of the game better than people playing in the National League. And why? Because kids learn faster. And if they get the right coaching, then they grow in that. And there's a group in there that will be very instrumental in the growth of Kenya moving forward. Now, where did the rain start beating us? The rain started beating us at the point where we didn't have development structures. And that's that's the wrong we are trying to right. Hopefully we'll be able to right it before the end of this year, hopefully, that this project gets approved and it gets the backing of the coaches, because it's going to be a volunteer job. The coaches coming through for the centers, for starters, probably will be volunteer workers. But we've put in a budget in there. Whether or not we'll get the funding is another story. If we get the funding, thank God. If we don't get, we'll hope that the coaches will be able to volunteer. And I've talked to people, some sitting next to me here, who volunteered to help. Because it's about giving the sport a lift. All of us are at pains when we lose to Uganda. And there was a lot of negativity with that result. And even people who are not really intrinsically involved with the game express dissatisfaction with our results. But that is not the solution. The solution is where we want to head now. Coming to the Kenya-Ugandan game, we didn't look up to speed, both tactically and technically, in that game. My thinking, and I might be wrong, is that probably, but the coach has since said that it was an exposure for the under-21s, and they wanted to give the under-21s a lot more airtime. So they blended the team a lot with under-20. They bedded a lot of under-21s in the setup. But that's still notwithstanding, even the under-21s needed to have their technical, right? Because we suffered with receiving, with passing, with movement. Those are the things that we need to cure. And then we have a structure that takes us forward. Continuity. And the girls have done a good job. They've brought in a lot of young girls. But we need to test them. It is not enough to play in tournaments, to prepare for a tournament. Now we have a championship in August in Ghana. Barring COVID, we should have been really working towards that project. But even with COVID, we should have been working virtually, following up on these players, having an idea of who we want to have in the team, and pushing it. So, in a nutshell, we are rock bottom. We can go lower than that. We can only come up. And it takes a lot of positive vibes around the player. The players suffer. The players suffer a lot when they post a result like that, because people ask them questions. So we need to keep them positive. We need to bring them up, give them more confidence, expose them a lot more. We play only in tournaments. South Africa, we talked about South Africa and Namibia. What people don't realize probably is that Namibian players school in South Africa. Yeah. And they play in the South African League. So they are more or less like peers. And they're looking up to this guy that I want to chop his head off. So they're extra motivated. The men lost almost all the test series. The last one was 6-0. But you see that the gap, the way they play, the structure that they play was very, I watched those games and they play in a very good structure. The 1% that South Africa beat them on was experience, exposure and experience. South Africa have cups to their players, a lot of cups to their players. They get to the game, they're confident of. Namibians are playing catch up. But it's a space we need to watch. People are surprised that Uganda beat Kenya. Yeah, it is a surprise, because who would think Uganda would beat Kenya? But what is the mindset of the players, Ugandan players coming into the Kenyan game? Talking to the coach, he said, we were coming to beat Kenya. So they were motivated to come and beat, they were going to put and they played a very aggressive game against Kenya. All the 3 games, extremely aggressive. They were on adrenaline throughout. They didn't leave anything to chance. Probably Kenyans were like, we're just going to beat these guys, we're superior. Every game is as good as the moment you walk into the pitch at 0-0. And you have 1 point. And it's up to you to work extra hard to get 2 more points. Be comfortable and keep your 1 point, or don't be proactive and donate, or feel philanthropic enough and donate the one that you walked into the pitch with. It's a choice, and it's a choice owing to preparations for the game.
Yeah, and if we look at, we said, Barry's telling me, I think we should put this mic away. If you look at now, South Africa, for example, my producer here gave me a few notes about the world news. FIH announced that we'll be having senior World Hockey Fives, and South Africa are among the confirmed participating teams. And you've talked about the exposure, the teams needing exposure. And you look at Uganda, the last time they played in 2007. Yeah, the last time they played in any international event, and it was in Nairobi. Yes. Yeah. They are still there. And you look at them, and then they came and beat us. Okay. Given that there was a mix of under-21s as well as the senior players, and then you look at Uganda, they had 7 players in their team that play at Weatherhead, and Weatherhead is the Butali of Uganda. Yeah. So coming back to South Africa, you see they had test series, they had the indoor cup, and now they are participating in the Hockey 5 series. So yeah, what do we need to do? Do we need to go and bang at the minister's door, the sports minister's door, and then we tell the minister, give us more money to participate in international matches? Let's start with you, coach.
What do you do?
I'm itching to answer that because it's a monkey on my back that has been on my back for the longest time. The way we look at sports and financing of sports is that we depend on the government. And the government does a good job of promising.
Yeah.
In delivery, but sometimes because we put in very good programs, we want to go in there a week early, and we put in a budget for tournament we're playing in March, in July, we put in a budget in January. It goes through the processes in the ministry, and they've approved, all fine. 1 month, 2, still probably no funds. And probably up to the day of travel, we still have challenges about traveling on the day of travel. A day before travel, the last assignment we did, up to the point where we are getting to the airport, we still are talking about dropping a player. Owing to finances, that probably you should drop a player. It's not supposed to be that way. Yeah. It's supposed to be that we know, right now we are in May, we know that in September we are having a build-up match. Forget about tournament. Yeah. We have planned for build-up match against Ghana, for example, in Accra. And that's part of our exposure. And then what? Where is the funding going to come from? Because we know that the government will not give us money for exposures. So then what is the alternate source of funding? It's about partnerships. It's not about sponsorship. It's about partnerships. My idea of partnerships here would be if we partnered with an airline and we partnered with a hotel. These two are crucial to logistics around having a match. If, for example, we partnered with KQ and we want to do a 3-match test series against Ghana, for example, and they're willing to give us 10 tickets. Now we need to raise 10 tickets more. The federation, now from its funding base, probably has gotten another 7 tickets. The players needing to raise 3 tickets will not be an issue. I can tell you for a fact that in my playing days, and it used to happen a lot with provincial associations, where Coast would say, we are giving you, the national association, which is KHU, would ask the provincial associations for tickets. And they'll do raffles and they'll do stuff. And therefore Coast will say, we will give you 5 tickets. And Nyanza will say, we'll give you 3, and Nairobi would give. And in there used to be players whose fathers were just happy that their kid has made the team, and they'll say, because my son has made the team, I'll give the ticket for my son and 3 more. So ticketing was never, I used to play, we used to do, in my playing days, we used to do, probably every 3 months we had a game, an international match. And that was good exposure for us. Now we got to a point where we were doing 1 match in 1 tournament in 4 years. Now we're getting back to probably 1 in a year. But the funding must not be from government. If government gives us, it's a bonus. Look at, we need to look at best practices around us. Rugby have gone the route of a sponsor or a partner, and they're able to sustain tours. Same to soccer, but of course soccer is a pet subject of the government, and the government will bail them out whichever other way, but they still have a sponsor on board. Same to volleyball. Now, the last time that hockey had a financial sponsor, I can't remember.
Why Are you still playing?
Yes, but it was Gemini Insurance, and that was a long, I think 2004, if I'm not very wrong. Now, 2004 to 2021. But you see, in there are financial implications to the build-up. We cannot compete against the Egypts, the South Africas, the Ghana comes to Kenya for tours. Where do we go? But you see, now our only option, our only available outlet is to play against club sides whom we have taken the best players from. And then we beat them 10-0 and we think we're good. So we're not getting tested the way we should. You see, in the players' mindset, there is the aspect that I watch this guy on YouTube, I watch this guy on FIH series, and this guy is, this is the best guy, this is, and then the players who have been there before me will tell me, hey, this guy is fire. So I get on the pitch and I'm already, this guy is fire. But if I play against this fire guy in test series like 1, 2, 3, and actually I can actually tackle this guy, I can beat this guy. When I meet this guy in the game, there's no respect. There's not too much respect. He's my equal, and I can do my stuff against any day. In fact, I'd want to make my name out of this player because he's a renowned player. And then I'm this novice and I'm beating him left, right, and center. That's how I make my name.
Yes. Speaking of which, there is someone who's a producer today. He got a very rough time against Uganda. He's used to doing release and running all. He got tackled. Yeah, I'm saying Barry, our producer, who's also a player for the national team, got a very difficult time against Uganda. You know, he's used to doing 3Ds and skipping past defenders. But the Ugandans didn't show him respect. Because of time, unfortunately, I have to rush. Now, the next bit is we are having the FIH Pro League, which is back. Most of the games were postponed owing to the third wave, which is bad. And guys, remember to keep safe. We have Germany, who are being hosted by Great Britain, both men and women. Germany have always had the better hand against Great Britain. The Germans have won 13 times. The German men have won 13 times against Great Britain, while the German women have beaten Great Britain women 5 times. So that would be an interesting one. Let's start with Tracy. I hope that mic works. I just want quick predictions from you. Germany men versus Great Britain. What do you think will be the score?
I think draw, goal.
That's a 1-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Game one and game 2. Game 1, 1-1. Game 2. Because they have to play 2 games.
I think I would lean to Germany. Yeah. For the win. Yeah.
First game draw.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a German guy.
Really?
Yeah.
From which county?
Shamahoho. I would go for a win-win both games for Germany.
Germany.
Yeah.
Scoreline?
2-1 first game. Maybe a 1-0 second game. Yeah.
Let's hear from the coach.
These are test series, and they give.
Pro League.
It's Pro League, and they give. It's about rankings as well, and the German team, from what I have seen, are looking very much on top of the game. And remember, people are priming up for Tokyo, and selection issues come into play here, and formations come into play here. England is a good side. It's a very good side as well. And I think they will win some. Germany will win some. England will win some. But overall, Germany will win the series.
So men, women, what do you think the scoreline will be? Ask Tracy and push for the women.
These are tight games. But you see, games now are being decided. I was watching the other one where German and in Argentina, and the flicking is just amazing. So it depends on this. You see, there are important players in the game. They're key players in the game, and one of them is a goalkeeper. If the keeper is on top of his game, England might just win, because Germans have got extremely good flickers, but they score a lot of goals also from set plays, and not quite a lot from open play or from field goals. So the 1% here is in set plays, and I don't know if it depends on the keepers. Actually, it's a keeper's game. The game of hockey has since rounded up to a keeper's game. You got the best keeper, you stay in the game, because people are no longer scoring too many goals from open play. It's about pieces and pieces.
Yeah. So it's been a nice show. We've extended the time, but it's a good one. It's our first episode of season 3. But let's not forget to appreciate HockeyKE Guest House.
Yeah.
You know, I have a story in Jugush. The other day I went to a certain hotel. I won't mention names. I booked a room there. I'd gone for a bit of work at the coast. And you know, people call me yellow. They say I'm too brown to be a Kenyan. So when I woke up, I found red spots on my skin. I was like, are they mosquitoes or something?
Yeah.
And until now, I boarded the ferry, and then one guy from coast told me, "Hey, bana we, unakunguni wewe." So trying to track back, apparently I got it from the hotel. Yeah. But one thing I can guarantee is that at HockeyKE Guest House, you won't get such a thing. Comfortable beds, nice mattresses. You know, I had Keb saying that we have fake mattresses.
Yeah.
And I wonder how they got into the market with Kebs and Keb stickers all over. But with the HockeyKE Guest House guys, the mattresses are nice, the food is nice, the food is great. You can see where we are. I wish I can tell Barry to show you the environment. I know you've stayed at home for a long time. Bring the kids. Coach Senge, bring your son here. There is a place where he can play around as you have.
Like church.
Yeah, it's a church guest house. Yeah, bring the family.
I'm an HockeyKE
guy. So you are home.
I'm home.
Yeah. So HockeyKE Guest House, thank you once again for sponsoring the show. Remember, guys, to follow Hockey Kenya on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as HockeyKE across all social media platforms. Coach Senge, I'm sure you're on Facebook.
Yes, I am.
As Coach Senge.
Yes.
Tracy Karanja, also on Facebook. Njugush, the only man with a Facebook page. Juguna George is enough. And of course, thank you to our producer over there, Danston Baraza, and myself, Simon. I think until next time, bye-bye, guys.
All right,
Yep.